Thank you for taking the time to visit the Jazz Evensong at Brentwood Facebook page and to take some time to view this version of Jazz Evensong online. We're delighted to have you. We will be continuing with these Jazz Evensongs online for a while now. We're monitoring the situation in terms of when we can gather again face-to-face in person, but we are not rushing that. Our mantra is as soon as prudent. So we'll keep you posted on that. This week, L.J. Montgomery, vocalist, Ron Thompson and Brent Gubbles are a trio that did a benefit concert for the food bank, a live stream benefit concert for the food bank a couple of weeks ago. They've given us permission to use 6 clips from that concert, and we want to encourage you to give to the Greater Vancouver Food Bank. You'll find a link where you can donate in the little blurb above this on the Facebook page, and we hope that you can help LJ raise money for this essential service in our city at this time. But we're going to do 3 of those songs this week, and then in 2 or 3 weeks we'll do 3 more. We're going to do Mary Lou Williams, What's Your Story, Morning Glory, John Prine, who just passed away, but his wonderful Angel from Montgomery, and then a Harold Arlen tune, Got the World on a String. So those are the 3 songs that we're going to work with this week. Mary Lou Williams, wonderful composer and pianist, in the kind of late 30s, 40s, 50s. Linda Dahl wrote a wonderful biography of Mary Lou Williams and used that Morning Glory as the title. And so this sense that no matter what situation you're in, there's always a new morning arriving, a new possibility arriving, and that there's a story that goes with that. Jazz is in many ways, many composers and musicians will say, what I'm really doing is telling a love story. And Mary Lou Williams is very much in that genre. Later in her life, she wrote a couple of masses for the Roman Catholic Church. Wonderful pieces. And the first one she called A Mass for the Young, or A Mass for the Young Thinking. And I love that idea, that somehow inviting people through that wonderful music in the form of a Mass, the Mass in the Christian tradition, primarily the Roman Catholic tradition. Anglicans talk about it, Eastern Orthodox talk about it. But that flow in the worship service is really the flow of the Christian story, of God's creation, of our rebellion and rejection of God, of God's reconciliation of us with forgiving love, and of the possibilities that open up because of that reconciliation. That's the flow of worship. And it's interesting. What Dahl says about Mary Lou Williams writing the Mass is that there's this magic serenity and rich sonority in the Mass music that was written and being performed in the midst of a really messy time in her personal life. And so somehow that magic emerging out of the messiness is part of the brilliance of jazz. And you get some of that feel in What's Your Story, Morning Glory. So here it is with the L.J. Montgomery Trio.
What's your story, morning glory? What makes you seem so blue? The way that you've been acting, I don't know what to do, 'cause I love you, sure as 1 and 1 makes 2. What's your story, morning glory? Got a feeling there's a lot you're concealing, so won't you tell me that you love me too? What's your story, morning glory? You got me worried too. A postman came this morning and left a note for you. Did you read it? Then you'll know that I love you. What's your story, morning glory? If I guess it, darling, will you confess it? Or won't you tell me that you love me too? Yeah, go again, Ron. That's awesome. One more time. What's your story, morning glory? What makes you look so blue? The way that you've been acting, I don't know what to do, 'cause I love you, sure as 1 and 1 makes 2. What's your story, morning glory? If I guess it, darling, will you confess it? Or won't you tell me that you love me too? What's your story, morning glory? You got me worried too. A postman came this morning and left a note for you. Did you read it? Then you'll know that I love you. What's your story, morning glory? Got a feeling there's a lot you're concealing. Oh, won't you tell me that you love me too? Yeah.
The next song that LJ and Ron and Brent are going to do is I've Got the World on a String. Harold Arlen wrote the music. Ted Kohler wrote the lyrics. It was a song written for the Cotton Club in New York in 1932. The Cotton Club used to do wonderful reviews, mostly with black artists. This was for the Cotton Club Parade in 1932. The interesting thing in this age of renewed attention to the systemic racism that is so much a part of North American society is that the Cotton Club really was a mark of that kind of racism. It was demeaning to its African American artists, and most of the artists were African American. Langston Hughes, a wonderful poet and writer who was a key voice in the Harlem Renaissance. Langston Hughes described it as a Jim Crow club for gangsters and moneyed whites. And so that's part of its past that shouldn't be ignored, and that we still need to, with prayer and thought and great effort, move beyond. In the lyrics to the song, though, there's a wonderful phrase about sitting on a rainbow. I'm not wild about the image of having the world on a string. I think that kind of control is part of the difficulty that we have. It's part of the racist systemic, that sense of control over is part of the systemic racism that needs to be addressed, a truth that needs to be addressed and lived through and overcome. In that the 60 cents of we shall overcome, that's a huge piece that we need to overcome. But the other part of the rainbow image, in the scriptures, in the Bible, the rainbow image comes after the flood, after Noah and the flood. And it's God's promise that he will deal with the world, deal with his creation, with a caring creativity from then on. That he will be a force that nourishes flourishing and life in that creation in every way that he possibly can. I think, as you know by now, jazz is a crucial piece of that nourishing that God uses. That nourishing that arises out of the worst pain and suffering that humans can imagine. And yet in the midst of that suffering, there is the magic of this music. So in spite of its racist past, here's Harold Arlen's, Ted Koehler's, I've Got the World on a String, beautifully done by L.J., Ron, and Brent.
I've got the world on a string, I'm sitting on a rainbow. I got that string around my finger. What a world, what a life, I'm in love. I've got a song that I sing, I can make the rain go anytime I move my finger. Oh, lucky me, can't you see I'm in love? Life is a beautiful thing as long as I hold that string. I'll be a silly so and so if I should ever let go. I've got the world on a string, I can make the rain go anytime I move my finger. Oh, lucky me, can't you see that Life is a beautiful thing as long as I hold that string. I'd be a silly so and so if I should ever let go. I've got the world on a string. I can make the rain go anytime I move my finger. Oh, lucky me, can you see I'm in love? I've got the world on a string. If you know what I mean, I'd be a silly so and so if I should ever let go.
I was delighted when LJ decided to include this next song in her benefit concert for the Greater Vancouver Food Bank. It's John Prine's Angel from Montgomery. I think as many of you know, John Prine died this year on April the 7th, age 73. He died from complications from COVID-19. So one of the victims of that vicious pandemic that is still very much among us. And interestingly enough, a couple of days ago, where are we? July 5, 6, something like that. Illinois announced that John Prine had been appointed honorary poet laureate of the state, the first such honor bestowed upon a native son of the state, and it's an honor that's well due. His repertoire and the poetry of his music is quite spectacular, as you will hear in Angel from Montgomery. There's a song written in, as Prine described it, imagining a middle-aged woman who's feeling older than she is. She's in an oppressive marriage and wants an angel to get her out of that. It's filled with longing, regret, with love, and yet without being maudlin. I mean, it's got that sense of being in the midst of this, but having a song in your soul that lifts you out of it. LJ makes reference to Bonnie Raitt and her several versions of this song. One of my favorites, in addition to this one you'll just hear, is John Prine and Bonnie Raitt singing it together. You can find that on YouTube. But this is a wonderful version of the song. LJ, Ron, and Brent, Angel from Montgomery.
Of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to believe in this living is just a hard way to go. When I was a young girl, well, I had me a cowboy. He wasn't much to look at, just a free rambling man. But the just a hard way to go.
Good to have had you viewing with us in this online version of Jazz Evensong at Brentwood. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen in. As I said, these clips from LJ and Ron and Brent were from a benefit concert for the Greater Vancouver Food Bank. And the link to donate to that, and we hope that you are able to do that and will do that. The link to donate to that is in the note above the Facebook page that accompanies this this version of Jazz Evensong online. So please do give and give generously. Thank you. A reminder that Brentwood worships on Sunday morning live on Zoom at 10 a.m. Pacific. You can join that service, participate with us by clicking the link at the top of our homepage, brentwoodpc.ca. Love to have you join us for that as well. And please share this Jazz Evensong online with your friends and let them know what's happening here. Let's close our service with prayer. We pray for the world that you so lovingly care for, dear Lord, in the midst of all of our wanderings and wrongings. Open our souls to the sense of the presence of your forgiving and reconciling love. A forgiving and reconciling love that is persistently seeking our attention. Make us aware of your presence in the midst of our traumas. Alert us to the ways those traumas lead us into traumatizing others, especially through the systems that we have devised in living together, systems that are rife with racism and sexism that arises out of our fears. Show us the love that casts out those fears. And lift us out of our oppressions and our regrets into your love. As we disperse from wherever we are to be just, kind, and humble in your world, help us know that you accompany us and that you encourage us. Amen.